Yeah, everyone, Daniel with HRT, bringing you guys a 2024 SHOT Show recap. We just want to talk a little bit about some of the cool things that we ran into at the show and provide some extra content and footage for it. So one of the really cool ones that I came across that's a little bit more practical and usable is the Bravo 4 actual, his rifle system. So I saw this over at the Valhalla Tactical booth, and I've never seen this system before. There's a lot of quick change sniper systems and barrel systems on the market now, so that in itself isn't something that's new. But Rob's way of building the rifle and sending you with multiple barrels is a really cool feature. So in his setup, there's a couple different offerings. One of them is like a backpack-sized kit that's folds up into an 18-inch long case. And you can pull your receiver out, pull your barrel out, those two thread together, your handguard slides over top of that and indexes to the receiver, and then you are able to attach your bipod and suppressor as well. So the whole system allows you to maintain your scope on your receiver, folding stock, nice and compact, and then it comes with multiple barrel sets. So the one that I saw at the show had 2 barrels, but you could order multiple. And then he said when you shoot a barrel out, you can just call them up, provide your serial number, and they'll get a new one sent out to the exact same specs. So you don't have to rehead space and time things. You can literally just thread this new barrel on, and it's going to be the exact same head spacing that your other barrel had. So it's a really cool offering, especially if you're looking for something that's compact or multi-barreled. And we talked a little bit about their uses, and he shared a couple of times that they've taken these to different SWAT training events or military training events or just the range by themselves and pulled the barrels off in between groups. So they shoot a group, pull the barrel off, put it back on and shoot another group, and they would see if the impact moved. And they were getting 0.5 MOA shift or less between doing all those barrel changes. So essentially you can call that a return to zero of not having to change my actual aiming points, especially when you're using like a mil scope, as mills have a little bit more forgiveness left or right, up and down than MOA would. So this is cool that he's done that testing. It's something that I wondered about, every time you're going to thread that barrel on, are you going to have to change your scope at all? And in his research and testing in real world experience, no, you don't. So really excited to see that. It was a pretty cool thing, especially having done it himself and designed this whole system. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes. Kind of falls in line with the Ohio Ordnance Works things that I've already mentioned. It's pretty expensive, but if you got the budget for it and you need it, then you probably are going to find the money for it. So next I want to share a little bit about the Lowlight Innovations MH1. So this is a night vision system that we got to check out at SHOT Show that is a new housing unit. So this is a metal housing unit, not a 3D printed or injection system, but it still managed to keep their weight under 1 pound, which is a lot of work considering how large that system can become. It also features a user configurable mount, so you can change out whether you want a bayonet or a dovetail or any number of mounting systems. And you're also able to configure your power source depending on what's going to be best for you in your environment. So a battery pack, or maybe you just want to run a CR123. It also features the ability to use or not use gain systems to change your manual gain or just use an auto gain system. And you're also able to change out the housing from a monocular, binocular, or a pino system. So you're not locked into just one style based on the one housing you've bought. So that's pretty cool. It's really innovative, and it's also nice that it's such a lightweight because that can really help on your neck when you're wearing that for a long period of time. And we're looking forward to seeing how those do in the market as well. So another one that was really cool to me was Tisas now has a 2011, and they've also upgraded some of their 1911 style platforms as well. So you may be familiar with the Raider they made, which is the M45A1 we have at home. Now they've got some 2011s, and they've also done some little bit more intricate 1911s. And it's a nice little lower cost point for those who want to get into it, but talking with some of their reps, I was pretty impressed with the amount of time and quality they're putting into those. So normally on the budget 1911, 2011 line, there's a lot of MIM parts, which is metal injection molding. It's not the best quality metal, but Tisas is making a big point to use all forged components wherever they can. And when we asked the rep if there's anything MIM in the gun, he said just a plunger tube, which is a pretty low impact area and something I'm not super worried about being MIM. So excited to see that, especially at price points that really, if you want a 2011 but you can't afford a staccato, this is something that And it's not going to be a staccato, but it's going to get you in that entry level at a lower price point. And these come red dot ready. They come with a couple mags, just some things that you'd already want without having to spend that extra dollar amount. They also brought in an MP5, and they've got a pretty cool line of high powers as well that we'll discuss too. So lots of pretty cool offerings from them this year. I'm looking forward to how those go into the public. So following along with Tisas 1911s and 2011s, they've also bought the name Inglis, which if you're familiar with Inglis high powers, those were like the British and Canadian service pistols for a long time. They've now bought that name out and they're producing their own in-house. And they're doing the same thing with the 1911s, 2011s. So as many forged components as possible. They actually went to Cylinder and Slide to get some of their spare parts, the extractors and some of the springs and stuff like that, which is really, really a big deal because when you go buy some of the other brands of high powers that are out now, those are things you have to replace right out of the gate because they're probably going to break. So really cool to hear that from them. I talked to their product manager for a while at the booth, and they shared that they've got a whole line of them that are coming out. They only have a few right now, but they have a whole line of them that they'll be coming out with that'll kind of, if you're a high power fan, they go back through some of the entire timeline from some of the Shanghai ones, the Inglis ones, all the service pistols, and then some of the really fancy ones that are all color case hardened and blued and things like that. The price point starts at $489, which is extremely competitive for what you're getting, especially when we went around and played with some of the other high powers from some other manufacturers and was really, really impressed with the quality, the triggers, the safeties and such on the Tisas offerings under Englas. So if you're looking for one of those, which you can't find the Springfield lot, or maybe you don't want to grab the Gersan ones, these look like they're going to be great options for both the price and the quality that you receive. So another one that I've got, which I'm sure a lot of you can resonate with, is the Ohio Ordnance Works H-Car. So I like the BAR from the historical side, but maybe that's a little bit outdated. You can't put an up, you can't put a light, things like that. If you haven't already seen the H-Car, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but it's a pretty cool system that uses the original BAR firing system, slightly modernized. They changed a couple things, added some rails, hand guards, things like that, shortened the barrel, a little bit more user-friendly. So it's a very expensive rifle. It's not really something that's on my plate here, but it's just a really cool feature. I like looking at them every year. I love picking them up. We talked to their marketing team as well. We might be able to do some content with them this year. So I'm really hoping to do that just for a personal one and shoot them. But I think it's a pretty cool product. They're a neat company who makes a lot of retro things, but they're also making a bunch of new things. You may have seen their new Reaper, which is a 338 machine gun that's also capable of doing single shot. So something that's new in the industry. Most machine guns are open bolt and you can't use them as a sniper system, and that they've really targeted towards precision and the high rate of fire. So personally, it's like the H-Car. It's cool. You can make fun of me for it. That's fine. I don't know if it's really valid in the current era, but it's just a 308 round that's a little bit longer. So I guess it's got its places and its uses, but the gun itself, I just think is a pretty cool retro-themed gun. So another one from Ohio Ordnance Works is their M249. It's a cool gun, M249. I'm sure Ohio Ordnance Works shoots a little bit better than some of the surplus ones and the old ones that we had with all of our units and the armories and everything that were Jam-O-Matics. But also, it has a golf ball barrel. And as Micah Mayfield said, that's just hot. So that one gets a place on my list as well. Next up on my list is the Atlas EOS. So if you are aware of my interest, you know that I like the 1911, 2011 stuff. I am loosely familiar with Atlas. I haven't done much stuff with their guns. I have some friends that are interested in them, and I've watched some of Aaron Callan's reviews and videos. So when I was at SHOT Show, I just went over and checked out their booth, and I was really, really impressed. So it's a very expensive handgun. It's like a $6,000 handgun, but I kind of understand why they're charging so much after having messed with them. So you got your Tisas, your Springfield Prodigies, your Staccatos, things like that. I get into your Alchemies, and these are all good guns. They're nice pieces, and the price tag gradually goes up. I feel like once you hit Atlas, I can definitely feel that change. So the gun in its entirety is a lot slicker. The slide to frame fit feels very, very well done, and the trigger is phenomenal. The sighting system is awesome. Their V ports on the top of the slide are pretty cool as well. That if you were to get any flash out of those ports, it would go off to the sides instead of directly in line with your sights and where you're looking. So that's a nice little feature as well. The EOS is designed to be carried. So it's a 4.25-inch barrel. It's a bull barrel, so it's nice and heavy. But their intent behind that was to give you a steel frame, heavier gun, withstands more rounds better than some of their lighter offerings with aluminum frames, while still keeping that compact package. So I probably won't be ordering one of those in the future, just because of that high price tag. But I was happy to say that I do understand a little bit more of the pricing they're offering. If you are looking for a really nice 2011 in that price range, I do think they've got some cool offerings, and check them out for sure. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about the HK 417 and 416. So they can kind of be thrown together a little bit since a lot of the parts are actually similar. But I do think the 417 is a pretty cool 308 system. It's a little bit unusual that it uses its own proprietary magazines, but the rest of it looks pretty nice. I enjoy the rails and the piston system and the compact size as well, just cramming it into a 16-inch gun. The HK had a number of different options on display at the show, some of which were the real 417s and some of which were those MR762s, which there are some differences there. They also the same with the M27 IAR or the MR556 416 series. So nice seeing those. I enjoy that, and the piston system on there, enjoying a little bit less gas thrown into your face, and then just the iconicness of where we have seen the 416 and 417 in both pop culture as well as just the events in the last 5 to 6 years on the world stage. So they're cool to me. I like going over them, mess with them. I don't know if they're your cup of tea, but they at least interest me. And finally, just want to talk about the Alchemy Custom Weaponry Resto Mod series. So I'm a big fan of Alchemy Custom Weaponry. I've enjoyed what they've been putting out for the last couple of years. Their Quantico is, quite honestly, one of my favorite handguns, and it does stay in an affordable price range as well. So I enjoyed that handgun, but I'm also looking forward to their Resto Mod series, which they've been pretty prideful about lately. I've heard a couple tips about some of the things they're working on from the guys at the show, and I can't share those, but I'm looking forward to how those get released in the public. If you are not familiar with some of their other offerings, they did a Resto Mod last year that looks like the Pakmar Combat Special, and they really knocked it out of the park with an awesome limited edition piece that is really a nice throwback to the originals. So check that out. Check out the Quantico ICAP, but then keep your eye out for some of their other Resto Mod series in 2024 as well. So that's been our 2024 SHOT Show recap. I hope you enjoyed some of the new offerings going into this year. Check those out, see if there's anything that catches your eye, and give us a follow at hrttacticalgear.com. Check out our social medias, and feel free to let us know what you are looking for in 2024 in the comments below.